Hi, I'm Sofia Bernardi, mindset and business coach supporting ambitious new and rising coaches to master their mindset, create an aligned and profitable strategy, and grow a six-figure business and beyond using the Rising Coach method. I built a $500,000 business by the age of 24, and in this podcast, I will teach you the psychology, strategy, and energetics to do the same. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to Rising Coaches with Sofia Bernardi. And in this episode, I am interviewing the incredible Alisha from the socialimpact.co on Instagram. And she is all about making sales and video marketing easy for female-led business owners. In particular through creating Reels, right? If you're familiar with Instagram, you're familiar with Reels. What's super cool about this interview is just last week, I interviewed Monique, who is the business partner of Alisha, right? So they work together and they support female business owners to create Reels via Instagram, which is really cool. So they have their own individual business and then they have a business together. And I'm so excited to be asking Alisha very similar questions to really get both sides of the picture of their business and what has supported them to create so much financial and freedom success in their business ventures. I have been in business a similar amount of time to Alisha, so it was really cool to reflect on both of our journeys, to be honest, and see so many similarities. We talk about Reels, we talk about events, we talk about the challenges within partnerships, we talk about challenges in following the numbers and the money and the metrics and all of the things in between. And the thing I love most about this episode is that Alisha is so raw and real and transparent. There's just nothing left unsaid. She was very vulnerable about, where she's not happy with right now and what she's moving towards and the things she's navigating behind the scenes. And I just love these kinds of conversations. So if you're anything like me and you love raw and real conversations and you love seeing behind the scenes of someone's business, which are my favorite questions to ask, then you're going to love this episode. So join me, listen to Alisha, make sure you go follow her on Instagram and watch her journey unfold, because she is an incredible human on the inside and out, and I can't wait for you to dive into this episode. Let's do it. Hey Alisha, how are you today?
Excited to dive into all the juicy topics we're going to cover.
Me too. I'm so excited. As I was just telling you off mic, I interviewed your business partner last week on the podcast, which is super exciting. And now I'm so keen to dive into your journey from starting and growing and scaling your business, in particular through Instagram and through Reels, and how you help other business owners to be able to do the same.
Definitely. Where do we begin?
Well, I think it would be really cool if you started off by telling everyone what you actually do and how you got there. It's such a generic question, but I think it's a really good place to start so we can get a bit of context for who you are, what you do, and how you got there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's actually coming at a pretty interesting timing because it is. I'm definitely in this very transitional period. So, where I'm at now is probably not where I'm going to be in a few months' time, but yeah, you'll probably get little bits out of me over this chat. But, I started this journey because I felt really impactless. I was working in a 9 to 5. I was working in sport TV, and it is a man's world. I would like to say that, things are getting better, but I looked around and I just was like, there's nowhere I'm aiming for. I'm just here. I'm just a person. I'm just living through it. And it wasn't even giving me anything. So I started creating content on the weekends, and, I just started playing around with sharing my creative skills on social media. And it was only through that I was like, this is a thing. This is a thing that I can do. I was making videos, spending all this time creating them. And I was like, what I'm sure is better than the actual brands I'm creating them for. So, what they have on their socials, they need help. So that's really where it stemmed from. I studied film and television. So, my background is in, video production, not necessarily social media. But at the end of the day, everything I do now is an extent to what I learned. And social media is something you get to pick up. If you can build connections, if you can build relationships, great. Keep that in mind. That's what social media is. But if you want to market your business, that's where I was really fortunate to have this prior knowledge, prior training. And so the moment that Reels came out, it was like, this is it. This is how
Yeah.
I get to shine. This is me. This is what I love to do. And I get to help others do it.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've got goosebumps as you share all of that because I know what it feels like to like not necessarily hate your job at all, but just not feel like you're delivering the impact that you really desire to make, and then transitioning to something that of course, there's a skill set that needs to be learned there. Like you said, it's not like you studied social media or anything, but like you just followed your passion essentially of connecting with people, and social media is such a great thing to learn to be able to enhance the relationship building and the business growth and everything. So I think that that's super cool. And I love what you said there of like, you can learn it. So it's like, it doesn't matter if you're starting from ground zero. It's like, it's something you can pick up on. So yeah, that's awesome. How long have you been in business, and how long after Reels came out did you actually transition into helping people with Reels on Instagram?
So I started my business back in October, November 2019.
Hmm.
I was still in my 9 to 5, and I honestly was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was like, oh, this is probably not going to work. I'd really created this belief that I wasn't capable of running a successful business. So it really was just a way that I could do what I want rather than I'm going to create my own business. It was like, no, I want to create something that I get to do this thing I love and get out of the 9 to 5. Anyway, and then I did take it full time. I had like a few clients and thought, yep, let's take the leap. I'm never going to go full in if I don't, like, I'm never going to be able to grow the business further if I don't leave this 9 to 5. And because I was working before work, I was working after work, and I was just doing nothing but working. So I sort of thought, right, it's scary. It's so scary, but need to do it. And unfortunately, COVID literally hit like weeks after I had left my job. It was in February 2020. And so it just went to such shit for a while, and for months actually. But I mean, it gave me time to do trainings with other people and learn from them and learn their passions and learn, take little things from everyone and understand what it was that I was actually here to do online. So it was really fortunate that when Reels came out, it was a natural thing. I was already creating IGTVs. I was already creating videos for clients. I had my fancy camera and I was creating things for clients, creating things for me, taking hours to do it. So when Reels came out, I was like, hang on a second, this is a way that it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to take hours. You just get to have fun and share this. And as soon as I started playing into that, I started seeing really cool results. And so I shared my first reel straight away. As soon as we could share reels, I was like, done, let's share something. And I started testing and trialing, and I have been doing so ever since. But I think the growth took maybe five weeks before I started to really see, hey, this is taking off. And I think for the next 6 months, I got a little bit trapped in the cycle of post, see the cool results. Okay, cool. Now what else am I going to do? Post to get the views and get the followers. And I grew really quickly, but for that period of time, it was like nothing else mattered. I had to post at the right times. I had to post, X amount of times per week. What was tips? What was advice? And so, yeah, it was exciting to see great growth, but it didn't necessarily mean my business had taken off at the same rate.
So what was the turning point then when your business did take off? What did that look like?
I think it was really when, I started to use reels and play around with using reels to sell. Because I was like, right, selling, I struggle with that, right? I've always had such an easy time selling other people's products, promoting other people's products, finding ways to do it in things that I believe in. Yet for some reason, when it came to my own offers, my own services, I struggled so much. So it's actually one of the reasons why I love when, I do work with business owners who may find selling icky. I'm like, this is the best way to get better at it. You get to play around with, video isn't as intimidating. It doesn't have to be, only for the next 24 hours, you get this for this price. It doesn't have to be like that. You get to touch on, are you feeling like this? Hey, you're not alone. this is why I've created this. So
Mm.
it was only really when I started playing around with reels to sell my offer, my service, my course, that I saw, hang on a second, this is pretty cool. I just got a sale from this, right? This reel, and I just got a sale from this. Someone just, replied to this reel and said, done, I need to work with you. I love this. I love your energy. And so it was really only as I started to lean into that that I saw it was possible another way. Look, I'll be honest, I think it took me a year after that to really let go of this need to, how many followers can I get in how many days? How many views can I get? Oh, I want to keep this momentum up. It is hard, but it is also your ego. Your ego wants to, have that validation. And it's still tough at times. But I think when you start remembering the importance of why you started your business, and you're putting time into something that's not giving you anything back other than potentially growing your audience and going the wrong way. Like
Mm.
I still remember having a reel go off, and, it wasn't even exactly who I wanted to help. And so all of a sudden I had all these new followers, and I was like, you're not my target audience. You're not the one I really want to help. So it was actually going backwards in a way. So yeah, that's the long segue around it.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And like, this is something I noticed with Monique as well. You're both so transparent. And it's one of my top values. I love it so much. And the fact that you guys just share like all the ugly bits behind the scenes. Like, not many people publicly say, like, yeah, I was obsessed with the views and the followers and the numbers and all of that sort of stuff. And for you to share that, like, yes, I did that. And yes, that pattern still creeps up. But hey, actually, followers doesn't equal dollars. And I think that that's so important because so many people get caught up on, like, I need to have XY followers or view counts or whatever in order to create sales. And like you said, so many golden nuggets there. But another thing that really stands out to me that, like you said, like so many people struggle with selling their services, but actually your business didn't turn around until you learned that skill and started actively doing that. And I think it's a trap so many service-based businesses and probably even product-based businesses like fall into, of like they're obsessed with their product, they're obsessed with being creative and doing all of these things, but the uncomfortable thing, which is actually selling, like unless you do that, like not much else happens with all of that time and energy you're investing into your business. So I really love that you made that point. It's like the reason your business wasn't growing despite followers growing was just because you weren't selling. But the moment you started consistently selling, which I see you're doing all of the time, that's when things turned around. And realizing that that doesn't have to be this icky salesy thing that we've been taught, from movies and from seeing advertisements. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. There's a much more authentic way to go about it. And when you learned that and harnessed that, that's where things turned around.
Yeah, and I think the big thing as well is like this idea of sales being icky, we've established from somewhere. We've created
Yeah.
this belief, this, understanding around it from somewhere. So it's like, think back to someone who was selling something and it felt icky. And then you get to sort of like leave it there. Because that's the thing. It's like, for me, it comes at, when I was going to the supermarket when I was younger with my mom, and, there would be someone out at the butcher's being like, £2 per kilo, and like things like this stick in my head when I think of that icky feeling. And I'm like, I'm not showing up like that. I'm not going to be doing it like that, And I think the other thing is we create this idea in our head that, our audience doesn't want to be sold to. But there's been multiple times for me that I've been in a training or, a free training or even just on someone's account. And I'm like, okay, enough of this. Like, I want to deeper. How do I get to work with you? And they don't actually, or I'm like, hey, what's your product? Or, I want to go deeper. Tell me. And that's the thing as well, is like, there's people out there that actually want to know how they buy from you, how they pay you. And you're not giving them that option.
Mm.
And so not only is it that, but you're actually not able to help them further because your free content, your tips, that's only going to go so far. So you're really only doing such a disservice to everyone in the relationship, you, your potential clients, your audience, everything. It's not serving you.
Exactly. share this all the time and I full heartedly agree. It's like you can add so much value, which is amazing. And when you do a good job at that, people are actually then wanting to be sold to. They're like, amazing, you've sold me on how amazing reels are. How do I do it? They start asking how once they've been sold on the why. And if you don't present that offer, they go searching elsewhere to find it. And then they literally go to your competition, right? And so I think it's so important
Yes.
to add value and make offers, not just make offers and not just add value, but like the two go hand in hand. And the other thing I really love that you shared there is that you've been on free trainings in the past and where you've then been like, wow, what's the next step? And that's actually my
Yeah.
niche, is helping people to run events to grow their business. And I see that you're promoting an event at the moment. And it's when you run these events, people get a real deep dive taste on the value that you have to provide. And then, like you did when you were on free trainings, your next question is like, okay, cool, I'm sold on this now. Like, how do I actually do it? And then when someone very authentically then provides that next step through their offer, you are not concerned about the price. You're not sitting there being like, oh, they're selling to me. They're like, amazing, a solution to the thing that I'm struggling with right now. And it goes like that. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and like I'll share definitely a difficulty, and that's why I'm so passionate about helping business owners realize that they may be chasing the views now so they can make that change in direction. Because when I really did make that big shift, and I was like, right, I've dipped my toes in, I've started every now and again, but I'm just still so focused on the views that it's stopping me from showing up and selling and showing myself how I'm, most passionate. And for a while, everything dipped because the people I had attracted, they wanted that free value. You
Mm.
know, they weren't used to me sharing my paid offers. They weren't used to me sharing, I'm worth this. You know, to work with me is this much. This is the investment. They weren't used to all of this. And so, even people I work with, and they're like, oh, I want higher paying clients. And I'm like, well, your social media, your reels, what you share needs to reflect that, right? And so there's this time when you do make that shift that there are going to be people in your audience that think, hang on a second, I just want the free advice. And it's like, okay, you can go get that from someone else. They can go insta viral. They can, be insta famous. But if you want to stick around here, you know that I'm here to play, to play big. This is still going to be here in 5 years. Know? And I think that's a really, really big thing is if you've been chasing the virality, you need to expect that there might be a dip when you change, but you're in it for the long game.
Love that so much. I'm a big believer in, the mentality of the long game. And if you're focused on that, like all of this anxiety and stress and pressure to grow so quickly goes away. And in turn, I actually find you grow quicker because your focus is instead on what really matters. And you mentioned that a little earlier, saying that like going back to your why. What is your why? Like what are you motivated by? Why are you in business?
I think there's a few different sides of it. I definitely, for my younger self who used to think she was capable of anything, but then started to allow people to dull her sparkle to the point where she thought, I still remember I had resolved to the fact that I was going to go to um, I was going to go to gold mines in Victoria, where you can go to Ballarat and you can go like panning for gold. And I was like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to find a gold nugget, and that's it. I'm then going to work in Byron Bay and at Safeway, so then I can get free Safeway, and that's going to be my life. I don't even need to work, but I'm going to be at Safeway eating the cookies, and like that's what I had literally put down for myself. And for anyone else, cool. If that's you right now, great. Like, but for me, I was like, hang on a second, like what happened to the younger version of me that was like, I can do anything. I can be anything. And it always really breaks my heart to think that if she sees me now, at that point, or in those moments where I'm like, I'm an imposter, I'm fake, I'm, whatever, like these things that we tell ourselves, it always really breaks my heart to think her sort of being a part of that and seeing this person of me in those moments. So definitely a big part of it is like fulfilling what I deserve to be. And I think a big part of it as well is, something that my own mentor really made me aware of is like, we're all so bound by this understanding of, like money. We're so bound by money. If money wasn't an excuse, if money wasn't a barrier, who would you be and what would you do? And I know that, I can help so many that always money becomes an issue. It's like, oh, but I have to keep the business going with this, or I have to, and so definitely a part where I have this freedom to be the most purest version of myself, because there are no excuses around money or time, because, usually time falls into money problems. I'm able to support the people around me. I'm able to give. I'm able to just be my biggest self. And along that journey, I get to help others. I get to see them feel those moments as well. So it sort of all ties into one there.
I love that. Thank you so much for being so raw and sharing all of that. I definitely resonate with that of like thinking about your younger self. Like, um, sometimes we're so hard on ourselves, and when we would never speak that way or think that way about others. And when we reflect on like our younger self, it's like we would never say those things to little us. Like they're so precious, and we got to remind ourselves that like we are actually still that person, and to be really kind. So I really love that. Um, just moving on a little bit, you are in a partnership, and I'm super excited to talk about this because personally, I don't know that many people that are one in a partnership in business in general, and two for it to go so well. Like I know, like it's going with you and Monique. So, like, how did that come about, and how do you guys actually make that work? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think, I don't think I know. It all started with, again, coming back to this platform of social media and being social. We were on Instagram. I saw what she was doing, and instantly I was like, oh, we are both like lovers of video. I saw her creating videos, and I saw, her doing things that I didn't really see many others doing. So instantly I was like, this is my sort of person. So I reached out and just started a DM, and most of my best relationships these days start with a DM,
Yeah,
right?
same.
Like it's so powerful. And the worst thing that's going to happen is someone be like, seen and not reply.
Exactly.
So that's the biggest thing. And she did reply, and we started just having conversations here and there. I said, I'm going to do a live on this topic. Do you want to do a live with me? Then reels came out, and we were sort of, we were both the leaders. We were both bringing what we already knew into what we were teaching. So many of the techniques, so many of the things we see that people are like, yeah, you need to, this, and like, we were able to start this wave. We paved the journey together. And so it really just felt natural to be able to enjoy it, to be able to learn, and to be able to grow with someone else who had that joy and energy for business and life. And so I reached out, and I never planned to start a business together, but I reached out and said, look, let's create a course. You're booked out. I'm booked out. People want to learn about this. We need to be able to help more people because we can't do any more right now. Why don't we come together? Why don't we create a course? And again, I thought it was just going to be, one off, we'll sell it and then we're done. Like cool collaboration, cool, coming together. But it just went so well. And we're like, okay, we can't stop here. Like the amount of business owners who just have changed everything since we did this with them. We've got to keep going. And so then we did it again and again, again. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's been 9 months. And we've brought in almost $250,000, right? And we've never met. Okay. And that's the other thing is like she was in Sydney and I was in Melbourne. Like I literally just met this girl on Instagram, sent her a DM, and started this journey. All the money at this point was in her account, like
Yeah, she said
it
that,
was
and I
it,
thought that was crazy. Like for you to just have that much trust just says so much about you, but also just so much about the both of you, right?
yeah. And look, probably now I'd be a bit smarter about things, but it is a big thing, is because I really, neither of us expected it to become what it was, but it was just this really natural progression. We're like, people need this. It isn't just reels. It is so much more. The energy we bring together. that then allows people to feel like this different version, this, more powerful version. They take a bit of that energy and start to create something bigger. And I think that's another reason why, today as it is, we created or introduced an advanced rules course, which at the moment there are no others like, but there are many rules courses now.
Yeah.
And I think the power from why we still see such insane results and why students still come to us is not only because we're the ones who sort of
Kicked it
built the
off.
way, rather than sort of learning from people who have learned from us, it's easy to just go to the source. But I think as well, it's like this idea of you get so much more than just the knowledge. You have these two women who have literally come together to help you, who are sharing their energy, inspiring you, motivating you, two coaches who have the potential to change your direction in some way or another. And I think that there's so much power in that, and people, that's why they've joined the journey. They've not just joined the course, but they've become a part of us.
Community. Yeah, love that. You hear sometimes of partnerships going really wrong, and I think a lot of people are quite nervous to even begin a partnership because it's hard enough growing a business on your own with all of the uncertainties, but you can't control the other person. I'm really curious, like, did you guys get advice or support or mentorship around how to manage a partnership or a collaboration even as it started, or the difficulties that may have come up along the way of communication, boundaries, work ethics, skills versus weaknesses, mindset challenges, all that sort of stuff? Like, did you guys just, sometimes when you meet someone, it's like they're your person, just like an intimate relationship, right? And it kind of just works. Like, is that what happened with you guys, or has there definitely been like ups and downs, or yeah, like I would love to hear a little bit more about what that looks like.
Yeah, and look, I'm really fortunate. I've got my dad, who I've definitely built my work ethic from. He started a business partnership 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And him and his business partner, look, they didn't meet online. They met in person when they're studying together. But I've been able to get a lot of guidance and a lot of learning from even just the way I've grown up with things and seeing their dynamics. I've really been fortunate in myself to have a lot from that.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's ever anything, I can sort of go to him and, look, what would you do? What have you done? And, of course the situations are very different, but that's been a really big thing for me. I think the big thing though is that, a partnership, you have that with your, romantic partner. You might have that with your business partner. And like any relationship, you're going to have ups and downs. And I think the biggest thing is that, it isn't always going to be perfect. There are always going to be issues. There's always going to be things. And, it's like you've entered into whatever kind of relationship, you
Yeah.
as a person change. And so with that will come little issues as it goes. And I think, we have marriage counselors. Like, I'm here for like normalizing just like having partnership counselors, because there's always ways. Just because there isn't a problem doesn't mean there isn't ways to become stronger and more efficient and just so even more powerful. So it's been a really wild ride. There's definitely been ups, there's definitely been downs. You don't find two people who've never met each other and who don't know anything about the way you've been brought up, the beliefs you have around things, everything. It is something that we just navigate every single day, and still figuring out as we go. There's no perfect partnership, but you just got to learn from one another and continue in whatever's best forward.
I love that so much. And how, like, have you, like, how's being in a partnership actually supported your business growth? And do you have any advice for anyone that would be considering a partnership?
Yeah, and I think the other thing as well is, like, I came into this not expecting it to go on for longer than
Mm,
a few months,
mm,
And so that's the other thing is, like, if you're going into it, as long as you're secure, as long as you have things in place to make sure that if something did happen, you've already got the plan out. You've already got the exit plan. You've already got, this is what happens, this is what we take, so that way it really does secure both of you, because when everything's happy, you don't expect anything go wrong. There's no push for it. But if you go into something with the setup, with the support, security that a lawyer can give you, don't expect it to last forever. Just go into it and be like, this right now has opportunities. We can learn from one another. And I think that takes the pressure off. I think there's a lot of pressure around, oh, I'm getting married and I need to be with them forever until we, divorce or whatever. And it's like, just have fun with it. Just come into this, find someone who has a similar energy to you. And, and that's the thing, is we have learned so much of each other, and we continue to learn so much of each other. And when times are tough, no one else gets how we're feeling but the other one. So it's really, really powerful in so many cases there.
Yeah, I have. Hi guys, I wanted to quickly interrupt this podcast episode to chat to you about my mastermind, Rise to Six. This is the mastermind for rising coaches plus service-based businesses who want to grow their business to consistent $10,000 months and beyond. This is the exact mastermind where I teach you the mindset, the strategy, and the energetics that supported me to build a multi-six-figure business in under 2 years. This mastermind is both a group container and a one-on-one container. I am so deeply committed to working very closely with my clients so that they feel deeply supported and get the results that they came for. I'm very, very passionate and committed to your results. So know that if you join this mastermind, that we're basically going to become best friends, because I'm going to be with you every step of the way. It is here that I teach you every single thing I do and have done to grow in my business in a way that truly feels so authentic and so abundant and fun. I want this for you too, and this is exactly what you get when you join the mastermind Rise to Six. You can head to the show notes to click the link and learn more about the mastermind to see if it's for you, or come chat with me. Come message me on Instagram or Facebook and let's have a chat, see if the mastermind is for you. But in a nutshell, you have to be extremely committed. You have to be ready to grow your business, because that's what we're going to be doing. You have to be super kind, and you have to be a female coach or service provider. If you can tick those boxes, then this mastermind is absolutely for you, and I would love to chat with you. So head to the link in the show notes or come DM me and let's chat. Yeah, I have no doubt. Thanks so much for sharing that. I'd love to move on a little bit. I support my clients to grow their business through running impactful online events. And I noticed that you and Monique run events alongside Reels to really bring your followers together to one place, nurture them even deeper, and then convert them, right? And I know that you're literally in the process of promoting one right now, if I'm correct. I would love to know, how has events supported your business growth in addition to Reels?
I think there's just so much power in it. And I think that we've been able to change what they look like because of COVID. When we think of events, we think of these in-person things, lots of planning, lots of organizing, potentially lots of stress. And I think that we just get to create it to be whatever we want. For us, we have students all over the world, right? I've literally learned countries that I didn't even know about because our students come from these countries. And for me, it's like, we started this during lockdown. We started this as business owners who connected because we did feel lonely. So for us, yes, we want people to learn. Yes, we want people to grow their business, but we want to bring the fun back into business, back into what they're doing. So for me, events have always been a way of, whether it's online or in person, how can we bring fun? How can we bring excitement back into what you're doing? So realistically, we've done workshops, we've done seminars, we've done trainings, but I've done quite a few lately of challenges. And because for me right now, I grew up with two brothers, so I always like a challenge. I always like something to sort of drive me. And for a challenge, it's like you have that accountability. You get to be a part of it with others. You get to have fun. It sort of gives you a bit of purpose rather than just being aimless. And so that's really what I love, is that you get to create events to be whatever they want. so that not only for your clients, it lights them up, but it also gets to light you up as well.
Yeah, I full-heartedly agree. I love running challenges. I feel like the actual planning and promoting process is the exact same, whether it's a masterclass, workshop, training, summit, challenge, whatever. I feel like a lot of the concepts the same thing. It's just like how do you prefer to deliver it? And I love challenges, so that's really cool. Do you guys run paid events, free events? Do you do a mixture of both? Like how often are you running them?
We do a mixture of both, definitely, depending. Pardon me. Sorry. We do a mixture of both, really depending on what that next step is. It's really important for me that whatever we put our time and effort into, it's supporting our bigger goal. It's supporting our
Mhm.
bigger vision. So, if I was to run a challenge, there would always be a next step.
Of course.
There is no purpose. There's no, I'm not helping anyone if they complete the challenge and like, cool, I've seen cool
See
results. What
ya.
next? Yeah, absolutely. So there's always a next step, and that next step helps me decide how the challenge is going to work. What that sort of, that platform in between not working with me or not having any idea to the bigger step. It's like this stepping stone in the middle. And for me, it's a case of, okay, well, what's that next step? How much is that offer? Who is that helping? And looking at it because for at the moment we're launching our advanced reels course, our advanced video marketing course, and that is for business owners who are already seeing results. That
Mhm.
is for business owners who are like ready for this absolute level. So for us, it's like we're not run a free event because we don't really do too many free events anymore, right? We sort of see them as, okay, let's pay for the time, let's pay for it's a different mindset. So
Mm.
that's sort of why when I was starting my business, or even when we're launching our reels course, Rise with Reels, we might have a free masterclass because that is for more beginners. They have a different mindset around money. They haven't yet started. And so we offer the free ones there because for who it's helping, for who it's serving, that is the right stepping point. But
Mm.
for this, it's like it would make absolutely no sense for us to give away the value we're giving and then say, hey, your next step is, 16.99 US, like for a lot of people that doesn't make sense and that's not helping them. So it really does come back to that next step and then sort of, what's the natural progression there.
Thanks for sharing that. What I'm really hearing here, to be honest, is that how important it is to know your target audience. It sounds like you make different decisions based
100%.
on who you're speaking to, right? And so it's super clear
Yeah.
to know like who is your ideal client and what would actually best serve them, what would make it accessible for them. Because I think for business owners such as like myself and yourself, like we'd probably invest more of our time in paid things because our time is super valuable.
Absolutely.
We want to go straight to like tell me what to do and tell me like why I'm doing this, whereas like earlier stages you might not be in a position to be able to just go straight to a paid thing. You need to understand more foundational things, right? And so like free things in the beginning helped me so much, and that's why I run free events as well. But again, paid events for a bit more of the high level stuff and to give a little bit more of the how to, right? So I'm really curious, like when you run free events, are you sharing more the what and the why, or are you definitely sharing the how as well? Or what does that look like in terms of delivery as opposed to paid events?
I think for me, it's always about how do I get them started? It's like the first step. So, the paid offer is what's going to help them get to that end result.
Mm-hmm.
But how can I get them started? Because that's the thing, they haven't been able to get started. There's been
Mm.
a blocker. So whatever the challenge is, even if it's paid, even if it's free, it's all about ensuring what do they need most right now to allow them to get started. Because the
Yeah.
other thing as well is like fortunately, with Reels Queens, we're not really targeting people who are like, oh well, I gave you $50 of $50 and I want to see my entire life changed. That's not who we're helping. But people, a lot of people still have this mindset of like, you know, I gave you my time or I gave you my money and I expect this, this, and this, and this. And it's like, for me, it's become this transition into allowing that and understanding that not everyone's going to be happy with what I do, but there's purpose, there's meaning behind it. And if for the people who have that mindset, who have that discernment to come on in and be like, okay, it's up to me now to take this, to take what I've learned and then make the changes. If they don't work, change them and make them again. You know, it's up to me now. And so that's been a really big thing as well, is I can't please everyone, whether it's my reels, whether it's my social media, whether it's what I say, whether what I post. It's also the same with my paid offers. I can't please anyone, but I know that everything they need to get to what I promised is in there. Great.
Yeah, love that. Love that so much. If you had to start your business again today, like what are three things that you'd prioritize, knowing what you know now, and why would you prioritize those things?
I definitely start before I'm ready.
Love that.
Absolutely start before I'm ready. And that goes into not only the business side of actually doing, but also the investing side, you know. Like I was scared when I started to invest in Dropbox, which was like $19 a month, you know. I was like, oh my God, that's so much money, right? And lately, the biggest leaps I've had in my business and my mindset, you know, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is because I've made these big investments that deep down in my gut, I know they're going to be powerful. But on paper, on, you know, the Excel sheets or whatever, they may not make sense. But there's things that you need to invest in to allow for those quantum leaps, for to allow you to bypass all these ups and downs and, you know, learning yourself. So that's another big thing, is, you know, investing in the right people and in the right spaces. So start before you're ready, invest in the right people, the right spaces. And I think the third thing as well is really, really immerse yourself with as many people. And, you know, I know I've said the right spaces, but I mean, like, the people I've met, the friends I've met, you know, that has been the most powerful part of what I do. I don't go into it thinking I'm going to reach out to this person because I want them to share my, you know, whatever. I'm going to reach out to this person because I want this. Start relationships, start connections with no expectations of getting something out of it, but just building relationships. And who knows what can come from them. But definitely this idea of, you know, your network is your net worth. Like, you know, I think it's so powerful, your network. It really is. So even if you're starting from knowing no one, got social media, you get to connect, you get to, you know, them from there.
I agree. Like my whole life is so different from the relationships I've made, like online in particular. Like it's so incredible that we have the world at our fingertips, and some of my best friends have all started from meeting someone online and watching the ripple effect there. Like it's honestly incredible, and I feel like the more you grow, like, and I'm sure you experience this. I'd actually love to hear, like when you have so many followers and notifications and messages, like it would feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes, like just the it's never peaceful and quiet. Like I'm sure you might have to have some boundaries around that, but I feel like as you grow and scale, like it's those close relationships that you have that start to mean more and more. Like it just keeps you grounded and humble, and you know, can just like feel like you've got those people to go to, like your partner, your business partner, your friends, your family. Like I think it just starts to become more and more important. Do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is like, being a business owner is so much self-discovery. And I know a lot of people, even if you had said that to me, you know, 2 years ago, I may have rolled my eyes, right? But it's really incredible the things you get to learn along the way. And yes, there's a lot of bumps and there's a lot of ups and downs, but it makes you so much better as a person, as a partner, as a friend, as, you know, in every way. You become so much stronger as a human being on this earth because of the incredible ride that is, you know, having your own business. But I've definitely skipped past the question. What was the question again?
Um, just like we were just talking about, you know, you having so many notifications and followers and messages. Like,
Sorry.
do you have to have like boundaries in place, or
Yeah, sorry.
you
I
know,
totally went.
it's all good, all good. I ask a lot of questions.
No, it's fine. I get wrapped up in my head and my own journeys and segues and everything. But yeah, there's a lot of noise. There is so much noise, and it's really easy to buy into the noise. It's really
Mm,
easy to, and that's where, right, is when you get those bings, when you get those notifications, social media relies on them to bring
mm.
you back in, for you to give more time, more energy. And when your reel gets lots of notifications, you're like, oh, I've got to do more of this. And it allows you to be distracted. So, I can give you advice, I can share ways that I go about it, but it really is a case of just like giving yourself the space to understand you're not going to get it right, you're not going to get it perfect, but you get to learn as you go. I turn off a lot of my notifications now. I silence people who might be always messaging me, or asking for me about business and things. I make, WhatsApp is for my clients, right? For our reels managed clients, that's where we help them. In Voxer, that's where I have, my team members and things like that chatting to me and doing things there. Instagram, that's usually just where people who we may have just connected. I've got my primary, and that's people who I've already got a sort of vested, friendship with. And then I've got my general, which is people I haven't really built that with yet.
Hmm.
And so you start to build these rules of how people like get in your proximity, and the energy that you give to each of these spaces. Text messages for me, I had clients who had my number, obviously, and I've
Mm.
made it really clear now. I've said, look, I like to keep all of this in WhatsApp, because on the weekend I don't check WhatsApp. After this time I don't check WhatsApp, and
Yeah.
this is my personal boundaries. So even things like that is figuring out what works for you, and making sure that you have these levels of, you know, a way to be connected and contacting you, and who gets access to those.
Yeah, so really like being mindful of your energy, right? I think it's so important. I'm the exact same. Like I communicate with my clients via Slack and that is muted on the weekends because it's just so important to have that reset time so that you can actually show up as the best version of yourself to your clients, to your audience, to the people you love. Has it been an adjustment for, like, I know you're in a relationship, like for your partner or people that are close in your life, like when your life is like so online, like do you have boundaries about what you do and don't share on there to some degree? Like for example, my partner is such a private person, and then my whole life is online, like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's been because I started dating my partner whilst I was still at my 9 to 5. And he sort of from the get go knew that I did social media, like went and created stuff and vlogged and things on the weekend. And he does barely anything on socials. So, it is a very big contrast between us. But I think it also is really incredible because it grounds me out. And it does bring me back to, he's had to have some really difficult conversations with me, and sort of, like, look, I feel like this because you're always on your phone, or, you're always working when we're not, all these conversations. And so it's been, again, really good because it's forced me to create boundaries. It's forced me to come back to, I want to create this incredible life with him. That's why I'm doing this. And I have to enjoy the things
Yeah.
along the way and stuff. And so I think it's really just navigating it step by step. Oh, that upset them, or that wasn't okay with them. Cool, I'll know that for future. And I think as well is I'm still navigating how much of my personal life I share on there. I'm all about being transparent, but there's also different things that people don't need to know about.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so it's really important. My family and things, I don't share too much about that, because how do, like,
It
there's,
doesn't
unless it
help
sort of
them.
relates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, it's about my mission, it's about what I'm helping, who I'm helping and how I'm helping them. Yeah, I might show a few things of my partner Tom, but at the end of the day, he's not really comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Every now and again maybe, but it's like, I don't need him to do that, so
Mm.
it's more important he's supporting me where I need. So yeah, I think it's a big navigating process.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it because I feel like most people probably experience that other side, and again, it's just not commonly like talked about. So thank you. Before we wrap up and you share like where people can connect with you and how they can work with you, because you have some incredible offers and ways that you can support people, in particular when it comes to social media and Instagram. You said that you are navigating some big changes at the moment, and your life's probably going to look a little different in a few months' time. Like, is there anything you can share? Like, is what are you working on at the moment, or what are you learning at the moment that's supporting your growth and next evolution?
I think for so long I've allowed myself to be sort of safely and comfortably in this box of, helping and only doing this. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I know that there's so much more. And so at the moment I'm kind of just navigating what my next steps are, what bigger, like what is outside that box. And so, for me a big thing is if my if the social impact or if Rise with Reels was to close tomorrow, what would I have set up? And I think we're so stuck in just creating our own business and that being everything, that if it doesn't continue to grow to a level, or if it doesn't continue, everything turns to shit. So for me, it's really about making my impact bigger in, building out this life. And that doesn't just mean the social impact. That doesn't just mean Rise with Reels, It's, for me at the moment, it's about building on that. So I invest in shares, I invest in property, I invest in things that, create a life rather than just a one-off business success.
Mm-hmm.
And I love sharing that. And so I think for me, I may not just be focusing on, I just help with Reels, or I just help with Instagram. I just help with this type of business. For me, it's just tap. And that's why I don't know just yet. I want to really make sure this next move is so good to me. So I'm not putting this pressure on to right now. But it's like, I think for a long time, I've put this sort of idea on, I can't change because this is what people know me as. I can't change
Mm.
because this is, this person relies on me for this, I'm like, hang on a second, like, I'm only going to be able to help more people and feel better because I know that there's more that I can be giving and doing, and feel just in a whole different way. And I think that I was in a box and I broke out of it and, grew what I am today, that I've then allowed myself to get back into this box and be really happy. And I'm like, I'm not really happy right now behind it all.
Wow, that thank you for sharing that. I think that's such like a normal evolution people go through. It's like you outgrow things. So I don't think there's anything actually been wrong on your journey. I think that's exactly how it's meant to be. And now that you're in this place, it's like, okay, what next, or what can I add to this to like fill my cup back up kind of thing. And you've created so much success, like emotionally, financially, growth wise on your accounts. I think it's something to be so proud of it. And it's okay to like want more. And I think that's amazing. And in regards to the being in the box thing, I think it's because we're taught early days in business being really niche, really specific is so important. And I think it is so important, right? It's how you built your whole company and your brand, right? And I think being niche is so important. But it's really important in the early days when people don't know you. Whereas like people know you now. Like you don't have to be niche anymore because you've already built the brand. You've already built the audience. But I think early days with people with little following, little experience, like you've got to master one thing and niche down. But I think you've almost outgrown that, where it's like that has served you and that was totally a necessity to get to where you are. But now you're actually in a whole different phase in business. And do you feel like that's true? Like, do you relate to that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Started this year, I made my biggest invest date in myself and my business. And it made absolutely no sense whatsoever for me to invest that amount. But I've opened the door to a space and a group of women who are so unapologetic about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And that has allowed me to think, I'm happy, but why do I settle? Why do I have to settle? I'm helping others go bigger. I'm helping others find, whatever. Why don't I get to do that for myself? And 100%, that's it.
Wow, it'll be so exciting to watch your journey and see how this unfolds. And I love that you're like you're in it right now and you can just fully own that. I think that's so cool. So I've got goosebumps. I'm so excited for your journey. Thank you so much for your time and your energy, just sharing your story, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. It's honestly, these are my favorite episodes to listen to when someone is just being completely real with all of it. For people that are like, I have loved this, where can I find you? How can I work with you? How can I learn more? Where are all of the things? Tell us.
So definitely come find me on the gram. That is my home. That is my hub. Socialimpact.co. My next exciting venture is coming to life very quickly. It's been in the works for about 2 years now, but that is my new brand called Full and Filled, and it's a product that I'll be launching in a few months' time. So, you know, there's lots of exciting things. So definitely come find me at the social impact, almost forgot it for a second, the socialimpact.co. You know, there I share a lot on my stories. I've got my broadcast channel, which I'm sharing pretty much a really insider look, and that's where I'm going to be sharing the first updates of this is official, this is what's happening. So definitely come find me there.
That's amazing. I'll link all of that below. Again, thank you so much for your time. I have loved every moment. Are you ready to create aligned, scalable results in your coaching or service-based business? If so, I'd love to work with you. I support my clients through all stages in business through my signature programs. Rise to Coach, which is for new coaches or service providers wanting to sign their first clients through setting rock-solid foundations. Or we have Rise with Events, my self-paced lifetime access course for those wanting to focus solely on learning how to plan, promote, and present highly impactful online events to grow your business. And Rise to Six, the mastermind for rising coaches to scale to consistent 10K months and beyond. If you are a listener of this podcast, I know one of these programs will be for you, depending on your stage in business. You can click the link in the description to learn more about all of my offers and see if any of these are the right fit for you, or feel free to message me on Instagram at Sofia Bernardi and let's chat. Until then, I'll see you in next week's episode.